Do you ever walk out of your planning session with a whiteboard full of great ideas and then wonder how many of them will actually get done? Most leaders have brilliant thinking happening in conversations, brainstorming tools, and annual reviews, but getting those into a structured quarterly plan connected to your growth strategies and metrics, that's where things get lost. With the Rhythm AI connector, you can close that gap in minutes. Let me show you what this looks like. In our example, I'm using Claude and a company that's already built an annual plan in Rhythm. I'm going to start by asking the AI what's already in our plan builder for Q3. One prompt and it's going to read straight from our live Rhythm data. So what this is doing, it's going to go into Rhythm and it's going to pull. So we're going to Q3 planning. In our annual planning session, we went ahead and mapped out a 4-quarter flyover for all of our annual priorities. Now we're going to go ahead and see what did we say at the beginning of the year that we should be focused on in Q3. So that's where we're going to start our conversation with Claude, is just what's in this plan builder for the quarter we're going to be planning for. So now it's going to pull in this information. Here are all our draft priorities that we thought we might do in the beginning of the year. So now we've got that. Now I'm going to ask it to look at our winning moves, which are our big strategic bets that are going to help double our company over the next few years, and our annual priorities, and tell me what's not yet reflected in the plan based on these draft priorities that we pulled in from our plan builder. What are we missing? This is the kind of alignment check that used to take hours during your planning meeting to see, what were the big strategic items that we're not capturing yet in our quarterly plan. Where are we misaligned from our strategy? Awesome. Okay, so now it's going to go into Rhythm and it's going to read our winning moves, and it's identifying our annual priorities and quarter priorities and how they align to these winning moves. And you can see there's a couple of annual priorities that don't tie back to any winning moves, and there's some winning moves that don't have any energy behind them this year in this quarter. So this is an alignment gap that we can identify when we go into this Q3 planning session and we can fix. Next, I have idea boards and parking lot items. So we've asked the team to brainstorm going into the meeting, start, stop, keep ideas to help us build out a great Q3 plan. We want that as an input into our potential priorities. We also want to look at the parking lot to see what did we capture over the course of the quarter, or maybe in our last planning session, that we didn't execute on but didn't want to forget. This is our opportunity to make sure that we don't have any gaps going into our planning session, that there weren't any items out there on the table that we should be discussing that were not. So we're going to go ahead and look at those potential inputs as well. There are lots of other things we could have Claude help us with. We could have Claude look at our SWOT. We could have Claude look at our theme for the year, for the quarter. We could have Claude look at our strategy as a whole, our core values, core purpose. There are lots of things that Claude can read from our Rhythm data to help us identify potential gaps in our plan. I'm just listing some examples here. Claude is going to come in here and read through in my planning meeting. I've got some start, stop, keep ideas that it's going to sift through for me. This is all inputs from the team coming into the meeting. Claude's going to make sure we've got the key things from this planning session prep captured in our plan builder so we can have a great conversation in one place, really focused and really effective. All right, here is the gap check for us on what's missing from our plan builder in light of our prep work. So we had 21 items in our we had one item in the parking lot and 21 items in our start, stop, keep idea board. These are the top things that haven't yet been captured. So this is where it gets really powerful. Now we can ask it to actually draft up those missing priorities and plug them straight into the plan builder. So this is going to handle for us that who, what, and the connection to that strategy, to that annual priority, so that when we get into our planning meeting, we can look at the plan builder and have those right discussions about what the success criteria should look like on each one of those potential priorities. Which ones are we going to do this quarter? Which ones wait till next quarter? How does everything link up to our longer term strategy? Who owns what? And then we can have a really tight and focused planning session with all the inputs and the right conversations already mapped out for us ahead of time. So here's what it's suggesting that we add, and we'll just say go ahead and create it. So we could adjust any ones of these suggestions ahead of time if we wanted to, but just for the sake of the example, I'm going to go ahead and have Claude build this out. You'll notice that it's even going so far as to suggest owners based on what it knows about my team, which is awesome. It's going to really save us a lot of time in our planning meeting to have this work done ahead of time. Awesome. Now we've got this drafted out in our plan builder. So when I come into rhythm here, this conversation gets really tight and really focused when we come into Q3 planning now. Now we just have to decide who is going to be executing on each of these items without a name on them, and what's the success criteria look like, which Rhythm can help us draft that up as well. Now we have a really tight, focused planning session, and when we leave, everything is buttoned up and linked correctly so that it's tied to our long-term strategy and execution ready for success. Your planning sessions generate more great thinking than any one quarter can hold. The Rhythm AI connector makes sure none of that gets left behind. From idea board to plan builder, connected to your strategy in minutes, not meetings. Try it with your next planning cycle.